sometimes running a business can feel like running a marathon.
Xero's purpose is to make life better for small businesses.
In a desert.
They are the baristas, the potters, the retailers.
And we knew we needed to speak to these people as people.
Through quicksand.
The power of a creative idea when you've got the right one is that you can be really consistent with it.
Humour's so massively underused in B2B.
How do we reach the right people with the right message at the right time?
But Xero accounting software can help keep your business finances running smoothly.
Being dull isn't safe. It's actually really expensive. Dull work is forgettable work.
Soon that marathon will feel more like a fun run. On roller skates. With a jetpack.
This campaign took us from a distant third to reshaping the category. That's testament to work that works.
Cha-ching! Search Xero with an X because healthy business is beautiful business.
Xero is a New Zealand-founded software company making primarily accounting software aimed at small businesses. It was founded around 15 years ago, and its aim is to make life better for people in business, their communities, and their advisors. So Xero arrived in the UK around 2008, arrived firmly in third place, and despite a really great product, there was a lot of work to do. Xero was not remembered, Xero didn't come to mind, and we knew that one of our biggest challenges was to change that. There were a lot of regional advertising going on, primarily digital media, and our competitors at the time had much larger pockets, and they were really using big broadcast above-the-line channels to make sure that they were top of mind. As a business, we set ourselves some really ambitious objectives. Primarily, we needed to increase the number of subscribers dramatically, and we knew to do that, we had to change the way that we set our marketing objectives. We knew from our first explorations into TV advertising that we were inconsistent with our creative, we were inconsistent with the results, we didn't have the cut-through that we needed, and there was a lot of misattribution to other brands in the category. And based on all of the things that we learned, we knew we had all of the elements in the toolbox ready to make something much better. So 2019 was a huge opportunity for the industry. Making Tax Digital was coming into force, brought another 1.2 million businesses into the category. Making Tax Digital ended up being a real wake-up call for Xero. We knew that people defaulted to the brands that they knew and they trusted, and at that point in time, Xero wasn't the most trusted brand, and we knew that there was a lot of opportunity to become the most trusted brand to win more share. But to do that, we had to increase consideration, and to do that, we had to increase awareness and top-of-mind awareness at the same time. And having such a great product and wanting also to grow market share relatively quickly, it provided a huge opportunity for Xero. We know that most small business owners are not currently in the market for accounting software or to switch accounting software.
What's even worse is that people only come into category, they only look to swap to new accounting software every 6 years, meaning that we had this tiny sliver of people that we could be talking to if we were trying to get them to switch there and then.
So we changed our strategy to target the 95-97% of those who are not in market and make sure that they would remember Xero when they did come into market.
Whenever people talk about B2B audiences, they refer to them as SMBs or SMEs, but find me a business owner that describes themselves as that. They say, I'm a baker, or I'm trying to run a design company. They don't wake up and say, I'm an SMB.
We know that small business owners don't think of themselves as just small business owners. They are the baristas, the potters, the retailers, and we had to start thinking about them like that too. We realised that for every small business, their business is deeply personal to them. It's the first thing they think of in the morning, it's the last thing they think of at night. And we need to recognise the deeply emotional decision that is behind what you might consider a rational decision when it comes to something like accounting software.
So a lot of business owners see accounting as something to be done, got out of the way, completed as quickly as possible or outsourced. But actually, the numbers, looking after your numbers, shouldn't be seen as admin. They should be seen as the lifeblood to your successful, healthy business. So we took a leaf out of the B2C playbook and showed people not just what we would do, but how we were going to make them feel.
It was a core part of the strategy to focus on the positives of running a business and to really get behind the business. Xero's purpose is to make life better for small businesses, and we needed to reflect that in the ads that we put out.
Our advertising had to act as like a Trojan horse to get that message around what Xero could do for their business into their heads, really. We had to talk about a product that they just didn't want to hear about, but in a way that made them sit up and listen and remember. Humour's so massively underused in B2B. There's this belief that unless you're being serious, you're not credible, and you're undermining how difficult it is to run a business. But running a business is already serious, and actually the use of humour creates empathy, it creates psychological connection and relief, and you show that you really do understand the crazy chaos, how all-encompassing world of running a business.
One of the key metrics we had to grow for Xero was trust. If people don't trust the brand, they're not going to trust it with their business finances. And TV, being the channel best at building trust, was why we had to really pursue that.
And so we created a world with Rhys Darby where he could playful metaphors, and it was slightly surreal, and we could just create a fun environment that actually people wanted to engage with and watch.
Sometimes running a business can feel like climbing a mountain. It's actually a volcano.
When we showed the final cut of the ad to the business, it was unanimous that we knew that this was going to cut through. Compared to what the rest of the category was doing at the time, it was a step change for us, and it was a step change for the category.
But Xero accounting software can help keep your business finances running smoothly. Soon, climbing up that mountain will feel more like riding down one on a really cool bike that can time travel.
We knew going into this that we had to build a number of distinctive assets to enable us to cut through in what was an incredibly competitive market. And so we decided that the most important thing to say at the end of every ad was Xero with an X. And we still continue to do that today.
Looking good. Where are we? Search Xero with an X, because healthy business is beautiful business.
Yeah, so similar with the creative approach, the starting point with media is how do we understand our SMB audience as people? And actually their media habits, with them being just consumers, are not reading SMB monthly. It is, I'm watching TV, I'm getting the tube, I'm doing everything else. So we had to understand where are they, how are they feeling, and what are they consuming. At launch, we started with the 30-second TV ad. Once we got that reach up to where we're starting to get into diminishing returns, we'd then bring in the shorter ad lengths to just keep adding frequency and ad stock to the campaign. And over the following couple of years after launch, we'd be really scientific about when we'd bring in different ad lengths, thinking about TV market prices and competitive dynamics to understand which copy length we should be running at what time.
The power of a creative idea when you've got the right one is that you can be really consistent with it, and it will build and build over a number of years to be far more effective than it was on day one.
It was really crucial for us to have this as a holistic campaign planned across all media and not just TV as well. The radio having the same script and cadence of the ad, we had that flighted alongside the TV to extend the reach and perhaps more crucially extend the frequency on a cheaper medium. Radio also offered us a lot more flexibility to tap into the mood, mode and mindset framework. So we could upweight working weekdays when the audience are going to be listening whilst they work, tapping into reaching them whilst they're thinking about their business at a time where you're not going to reach them on TV, because most of them are not at home watching daytime TV. Outdoor also acted as a great extension of, for example, we could upweight digital outdoor when people are on their way to work and on their way home, and be really targeted to how do we reach the right people with the right message at the right time. So we wanted to start thinking about the 60-40 planning rule, and actually the research from the IPA and the LinkedIn Institute actually has B2B at closer at 50-50, but we know we needed to subvert the B2B principles and actually think how do we position more as a B2C finance brand and not a B2B brand. That led us to getting to about 70-30 in favour of brand to activation. The results for me that were most impressive and exciting, number one, the growth in unaided awareness, particularly being that's what we were tracking, planning to, optimising and forecasting. Seeing that grow as we forecasted it would was a huge success for us.
Seeing our trustworthy brand score increase by 11 points was a clear indicator that we were doing something right and we were connecting with the audience that we wanted to.
We completely closed that consideration, likability, trust gap that we had between Xero and the big two Goliaths of the category. And we completely reshaped the category that way. We also had real success commercially, hitting our 1 million subscribers 7 months ahead of target and delivering an ROI that was quite remarkable for a B2B category.
For me, the biggest learnings are this paper proves that the B2C principles of connecting with our audience, the small business owner, on an emotional level really does work in the B2B category as well. Business owners are people first, and they will respond to humour, entertainment, and a connection from a brand just like anyone else.
I think the other thing we've learnt is that being dull isn't safe. It's actually really expensive. Dull work is forgettable work, and if people don't know you or forget about you, they can't buy you.
I think from a media planning perspective, what I've learned is don't feel like just because you are a B2B brand or whatever brand you're in, you have to stick rigidly to those media planning guidelines, but actually think, how can we think a bit more laterally and experiment with best practice to apply it to our business?
For me, TV is the medium where you can bring the brand story to life in a way that you can't in any other channel. This campaign took us from a distant third to reshaping the category. And we're now firmly competing at the top table with 2 other competitors, and we wouldn't be there without this campaign.
I think we've shown that for a brand in a typically low-interest category with high-interest work, there is no such thing as a low-interest category.
One of the highlights of this campaign is that it was still running 3.5 years after we made it, and that's testament to work that works.
Cha-ching! Search Xero with an X, because healthy business is beautiful business.